7:24 to Tenjin. A short story about the Japanese rush hour by A.C. Jameson. They say trains are never late here. That's not true. They're just rarely sloppy. That mushy gray zone of being more or less on time has been eliminated. Your train will either arrive on the dot, or it won't come for an awful long time. If there is disruption, the reason is usually a good one. Some common causes include typhoons, earthquakes, and human accidents. That's a rough translation of a euphemism. It means someone further up the line was having a bad day. Bad enough to warrant a step off the platform as the train approached. Very human, not so accidental. That last reason is the hardest one to forecast. All I can tell you is, Mondays seem to be the worst for it. Friday nights, not so bad.
When the 7:24 service pulls up to the packed platform, I have a habit of looking away. Up at the iron girders on the station ceiling, or down at my brown Aoyama shoes, anywhere but the path of the oncoming train. If one of my fellow commuters decides to take that drastic step, I'd rather go without witnessing it, thanks.
On board, the interior of the train is a scrum. I thank my maker every day for making me tall enough to have my own airspace, head and shoulders above the other passengers. I can't imagine what it's like for the others down there, having to endure strangers' faces brushing up against your own every day. Each time the train stops to let more people on, you learn a little bit more about compression and its effects on the human body. In a sane world, they would have declared this carriage to be at full capacity 3 stops ago. For most passengers, getting off the train requires planning. 2 stops before your destination, you are advised to start burrowing your way through the carriage towards the door. Otherwise, you'll miss your 10-second window to escape. Luckily for me, my stop is the final one.
Stepping onto the platform at Tenjin means jumping into a wave of dark-colored suits. No need to look for the way out. The black and navy tide will carry you down the escalator and towards the exit.
You don't get much say in the matter. At this point, I recommend keeping your travel card loose in your pocket, ready to snatch up like a pistol from a holster as you approach the barrier. To stop and fumble around in your wallet now is to be body slammed by the hundreds of salarymen coming up behind you. There's always one log that jams up the rest. Don't let it be you. My bank is a 7-minute walk away, or only 3 minutes and 12 seconds if the traffic lights are on my side. Working in finance means I'm good at calculation. For instance, I calculate that at this rate my soul will have completely withered away within the next 5 years. I watch Netflix as I walk. Mostly US talent shows. They're the easiest to digest in 7-minute chunks. Sometimes I hear those Americans talk of quitting the day job, finding their true calling, living their dream. Nothing feels better than escaping the rat race, they say. I'm not supposed to entertain such thoughts. The moment my bank sidled up to me at the graduate job fair and offered to swallow my tuition fees, they may as well have branded my ass. I became the property of Hirai Investing Corporation, HIC, a subsidiary of Hirai Industries Global, HIG. By paying for my past, they bought my future. Leaving the company before retirement, or death, would be considered an extreme betrayal on my part. My bank has a 24/7 ATM in the annex next to the main building. A small hut of sorts. It's mostly used by the elderly to escape the cold as they muddle through their last transactions in life. This morning I could see a pair of nylon-clad legs lying on the floor of the hut, poking around the doorframe. I peeked in. An old lady had hit the deck hard. A debris field of tartan and suede accessories lay around her. Her purse, her scarf, her bag and her checkbook were scattered all across the pink-tiled carpet. Everyone else that passed by was pretending not to notice. I checked the time. She had my services as a good Samaritan for the next 2 minutes. I entered the hut. The old lady was in a state of total calm. Not crying out, not reaching for her phone. Just serenely laying there. It almost felt rude to interrupt. I asked if she was okay. She said yes. The easiest way to pull her up was by the wrists. Easiest for me, at least. I tried not to yank her arms too much. If it hurt, she was good enough not to comment. I gathered up her belongings and handed them over. The population here is aging, and the senior citizens are keen to keep their independence. It's admirable until they take a tumble or mistake the accelerator for the brake pedal and plow through a shopfront. That sort of news story feels like a weekly occurrence. I stepped through the automatic doors of the hut and back onto the street, looking up at the glass towers above me. As well as watching out for old folks underfoot, it's also a good idea to keep an eye on the skies. Last week, some despondent office worker over on Showadori took a not-so-accidental step out of his 7th-floor window, landing on a young woman walking below.
The last I heard, he's expected to make a full recovery. Her prognosis isn't so good. Hell of a way to make it someone else's problem.
I entered my building and crossed the lobby. Riding the elevator up to my office is another study in compression, this time with no windows. The elevator stops at every floor to let people out. At peak times, it's far slower than hitting the stairs. That's why I do it. 97 minutes after leaving my apartment, I arrive at my narrow desk and turn my PC on. Across my lifetime, I will have made this journey nearly 12,000 times. That's over 1,000,000 minutes of travel. Double that when you count the journey home. I did the sums in my head this morning as I waited for my train. As of today, I calculate I only have 8,452 days to go.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this short story, my debut novel, The Pittsburgh Connection, a novel about rock and roll, hope and struggling, is available now as an ebook for just $2.99. Link in the description below. Subscribe for more stories coming soon.